It is 1974 Coventry. Your mother stands at the stove with sixpence in her pocket. Rendered fat and onions fill the kitchen. Steam rises from one pot. Number 25 cost 4p. Number 3 came from what you threw away. Number 1 is so simple you forgot it is a meal. Beans cost £2 now. Then 3p. What we lost is not recipes, but the belief that good food costs nothing. Hit subscribe, because these suppers wait in your kitchen. We are counting down 25 dinners. Everyone costs less than 3 shillings to make alone. Baked beans on toast. Take a tin of beans in tomato sauce, a slice of bread, a small knob of butter, and heat it through. That is it. That is the meal. In the 1960s, a tin cost 3p. A loaf lasted a week. Butter was 6p a quarter. Working people ate this 3 times a week, sometimes more. It was not poverty food. It was what you made when there was no time and 6p to spend. But here is what that tin of beans was actually doing for you. The tomato sauce contains lycopene, a compound that the body absorbs more efficiently when heated with fat, the butter on the toast. Your mother was not thinking of nutrition. She was feeding you something that would keep you full until the next shift ended. In 1962, Heinz beans cost 2p per tin. A slice of buttered toast added another penny. Now you buy beans and wonder if they are still the same meal. They taste thinner. Nobody remembers when beans became complicated. Number 24 on this list is what you made when you found eggs at the back of the cupboard. Egg and bacon 1. Egg. 1 rasher of bacon. A pan. Heat. The egg went in a minute after the bacon, so the yolk stayed soft and the white set. You did not have to think. Your hands did it. Bacon cost 4p a rasher in 1975. Eggs, when you could find them cheap, were 2p each. Some weeks you had them twice. Some weeks you did not have them at all. But when you did, it was enough. But here is what you did not know. The egg yolk contains choline, and choline repairs the myelin sheath that insulates your nerves. The bacon fat contains oleic acid, the same compound your body finds in olive oil, absorbed better when eaten together than apart. You were not being cheap. You were feeding your nervous system something it needed. In 1970, a half dozen eggs cost 9p. A packet of bacon rashers was a shilling. These eggs now come in cardboard. Then they came in thin brown paper, and you saved the paper. The meal took 5 minutes. Now it feels like something you should apologize for. Number 23 required nothing but an onion and patience. Bread and dripping. A thick slice of yesterday's bread, cold dripping spooned on top. The white fat from the Sunday roast, the brown meat jelly underneath, salt on it. That was supper. You kept the dripping in a bowl in the cold larder, every roast added to it. Nothing was wasted. The dripping would sit there for weeks, the meat jelly settling to the bottom, the pure fat floating on top. You scraped what you needed into a pan, melted it over bread, and ate it standing at the kitchen table. But here is what that dripping was doing. The rendered fat from a joint contains oleic acid, the same compound found in olive oil, which your body metabolizes differently from saturated fat. The meat jelly underneath is collagen and minerals. Your grandmother was not being frugal. She was feeding your family something that kept you going longer than bread alone ever could. In 1960, a roast cost 2 shillings. The dripping was free. 1 meal from that dripping cost 3p. Now you throw the fat away. Then you kept it like money. She never called it storing food. She called it not wasting it. Number 22 was what you made when you had cheese and nothing else. Cheese and pickle. A slice of cheese, a spoonful of pickle, bread. If you had it, you put the cheese between 2 slices. If not, you made it open. Cheese was expensive. Cheddar cost 1 and 6p a quarter in 1972, but a quarter went a long way. You could ration it. 1 slice per supper, 4 nights a week. Pickle was cheap. A jar cost 4p and lasted 2 months. But here is what that pickle was doing. Vinegar pickle is fermented, which means it contains beneficial bacteria. When you ate the pickle with cheese, those bacteria helped your stomach digest the dairy fat more efficiently. The salt in the pickle made you thirsty, so you drank water. Your appetite regulated itself. You felt full on less. In 1965, a quarter of cheese cost 1 and 3p. Pickle was 3p a jar. Cheese now is wrapped in plastic and aged in rooms. Then it came from the counter, wrapped in greaseproof paper, and the cheesemonger's hands smelled of it. You knew the man who sold it. You knew how long it had been sitting. Number 21 on this list was what farmers ate in the fields. Toad in the whole sausages in a batter, baked in the oven until the batter rose up around them, golden and hollow. 1 dish, 1 pound of sausages, a cup of flour, a cup of milk, salt. That was supper for 4. Sausages cost 4p each in the 1960s. A pound of flour cost 2p. Milk was a penny a cup. Butter for the pan was 3p. The whole meal cost under 2 shillings. But here is what you did not understand about that batter. When flour and eggs mixed with liquid heat, the proteins in the flour unfold and link together, creating a scaffold that traps air. That rising batter was doing work. It made the meal lighter and bigger than the sausages alone. You were feeding more people with less meat. Every cook knew this without knowing why. In 1970, a pound of pork sausages cost 6p. Good ones came from the butcher, squeezed fresh from casings that very morning. Now sausages come pre-formed and injected. Then the butcher made them while you waited. The batter rose the same way, but somehow it meant something different. Number 20 on this list came from a tin most households kept under the sink. What all these dinners share is not just price, it is the certainty that every ingredient came from somewhere local, somewhere known. Your butcher made the sausages, the dairy farmer sold the milk through a milkman who knew your street, the grocer knew what his shelves cost him. He did not hide it. If eggs were scarce, he told you. If bacon was dear, you waited. There was no surprises, no hidden costs, no emails about supply chains. You knew exactly what you were paying for because you had paid that price for 30 years running. Everything stayed the same. That was the point. That was the comfort. And then, without announcement, it all changed at once. Corned beef hash. Tinned corned beef, potatoes, onion, all fried together in a pan with a knob of lard. Nothing else. The corned beef broke apart into soft, salty fragments. The potatoes turned golden. You ate it straight from the pan if you were alone. Corned beef was a war staple. Long after the war ended, it remained cheap and everywhere. A tin cost 4p in the 1960s. Potatoes were 2p a pound. Lard was 3p for a block. The whole meal cost less than a shilling and fed one person for 2 nights if you rationed it. But here is what tinned corned beef was doing. Beef is rich in iron and B12, and tinning preserved those nutrients without loss. The salt in the tin was not just for flavour, it slowed spoilage, and it also helped your body retain water on a day of physical work. You did not need much of it. A small tin gave you everything. In 1955, a tin of Fray Bentos corned beef cost 3p. It was stamped with the year it was made, and it would keep for a decade. No tin now tells you when it was made. Number 19 on this list was what you made from the bones of the Sunday chicken. Chicken broth. One chicken carcass, picked clean. Onion, carrot, celery, water, boiled for hours until the bones gave up everything. Salt at the end. That was broth. You would have paid 6p for a scrawny chicken, roasted it on Sunday, eaten the meat, and then made broth from what was left. The broth fed you for 3 nights. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A bowl each evening, sometimes with bread, sometimes with barley stirred in. Nothing was wasted. The bones went into the fire after. But here is what happened in that broth pot. When bone simmers in water with acid, even the small amount in onion, collagen breaks down into gelatin and minerals leach into the water. Calcium, magnesium, iron, phosphorus. You were not making soup, you were making a mineral supplement. Your grandmother knew the broth made her bones stronger. She did not know why, she just knew. In 1958, a stewing chicken cost 6p. The vegetables were a penny. 1 week of broths cost 8p. Now broth comes in cartons and tastes of nothing much. Then it tasted like everything the chicken had ever eaten. Number 18 on this list cost nothing but fire and patience. Lentil soup. Dried lentils, onion, carrot, water, salt. Boiled until the lentils collapsed into a thick soup. If you had it, a knob of lard went in at the end. Lentils came in a paper bag from the grocer. A pound cost 2p. It made soup for 7 nights, 1 bowl each, which meant lentil soup cost 2p for the week. Onions and carrots were seasonal and cheap. In autumn, 3p a pound for both together. But here is what lentils were doing. They are a legume, and legumes contain incomplete protein. But when eaten with bread, and you always ate soup with bread, the amino acids combined and became complete protein. Your body could use it all. You did not need meat. The soup alone sustained you. Generations of people ate lentil soup 3 nights a week and remained strong. They were not struggling, they were fed. In 1962, a pound of dried lentils cost 2p. A week of soup cost 4p with vegetables. Lentil soup now costs more than a roasted chicken. Then it was what you ate when money was gone. Number 17 on this list was what you made with a single vegetable and cream. Marrow on toast. Marrow sliced and baked in the oven with a knob of butter until soft, then spooned onto hot buttered toast. That was dinner. Marrow grew in every garden that had space. In late summer, one plant would produce 15 marrows, each the size of a football, and you gave them away to neighbours who did not want them either. You had to use them. Butter was 4p a quarter. Toast was free if you had bread. The meal cost 3p and took 20 minutes. But here is what marrow was doing. It is 95% water and contains very little nutrition, almost nothing. But that water content meant you felt full without calories. Your stomach expanded. You were satisfied. Your appetite, which had spent the day demanding food, was finally quiet. On a week when money was gone, marrow kept you from feeling hungry, even though it gave you almost nothing to eat. In 1960, a marrow cost 3p from a greengrocer. Most gardens grew them free. Now, marrow has become something unusual. Then you buried it under butter to make it edible. It filled the belly without filling the wallet. Number 16 on this list was what the factory workers took to the job in their tins. Potted meat on bread. Potted meat came in small earthenware pots, shippams, underwoods. The lid peeled off, and inside was a paste of meat, fat and seasoning, solid at room temperature. You spread it on bread like butter. A small pot cost 4p in 1965. One pot made 4 sandwiches. That was 2 days of lunch. The meat was pork, beef or chicken. Offal mostly, the bits that could not be sold whole, but it was processed and spiced until it tasted of something deliberate. But here is what that potted meat paste was doing. Offal is rich in vitamin A and iron. The salt in the paste helped your body retain minerals. The fat carried the flavours and slowed your stomach's digestion, keeping you full longer than lean meat alone would. You were eating concentrated nutrition in a small space. The factory worker took a tin to the job and ate 2 sandwiches at 10 in the morning, and that kept him until dinner. In 1962, Shipham's potted meat cost 2p a small pot. A loaf was 4p. Now potted meat seems like a relic. Then, it was what you carried when you had nothing else. Number 15 on this list was made from something that cost absolutely nothing. By the time we reach the middle of this list, you have noticed something. Almost nothing here came from a shop that specialised in one thing. Your dinner came from the butcher and the grocer and the greengrocer, and they all knew your mother. They would save scraps for her. The bones the butcher would have thrown away, the slightly soft vegetables the greengrocer could not sell. Nothing was wasted because everything had value. A chicken carcass fed you for 3 nights. A marrow that grew wild cost nothing. Offal that the wealthy did not want became the foundation of supper. This was not thrift. It was a system, and the system worked because everyone participated in it. If you grew up in this world, you still know how it worked. You still know the taste of things that cost almost nothing and tasted like everything. Bubble and squeak, leftover mashed potato, leftover greens, cabbage, sprouts, whatever was in the bottom of the vegetable box, mashed together, formed into patties and fried in lard until the outside was crisp and brown. That was bubble and squeak. The name came from the sounds it made, the bubble of the lard, the squeak of the vegetables as they released water. It was a dish for Mondays, the day after roast dinner, when you had leftovers and no money had come in. The potato and greens cost nothing. Lard was free from Sunday's roast. The meal cost a penny. But here is what Bubble and Squeak was doing. The vegetables had already been cooked once. When you fried them in fat, the fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, K, that had been locked in the plant cells became available to your body in a new form. The potato, broken down by boiling and mashing, was easier to digest than whole potato. You got more nutrition from less food because the cooking method changed what your body could use. In 1960, making Bubble and Squeak cost nothing. Everything in it was already paid for. It was what you made when there was nothing else to make. It tasted like the week before, slightly changed. Number 14 on this list was what the doctor told you to eat if your digestion was weak. Beef broth with pearl barley. Beef bones, just bones, nothing else, simmered for hours with pearl barley, onion and salt. The barley absorbed the richness from the bone and the broth became thick and slightly sweet. Beef bones cost a penny a pound in the 1950s. Butchers gave them away almost. Pearl barley was cheap, 2p a pound, and a pound went very far. One pot made 7 bowls. The whole week's worth cost 4p. But here is what pearl barley does when simmered in broth. The grain swells and softens, and starches leach into the liquid, making it more gelatinous. That texture meant your stomach absorbed it more slowly. Your blood sugar stayed stable. If you had barley broth on Tuesday, you were not hungry at odd hours on Wednesday. You felt whole. And barley contains beta-glucans, compounds that help your body regulate cholesterol. You did not know you were lowering your cholesterol. You just knew that men who ate barley stayed healthier than men who did not. In 1955, beef bones cost twopence a pound. Pearl barley was threepence a pound. Beef broth now comes boiled and strained and sad. Then it was thick and brown and meant something. Number 13 on this list was made from something that was disgusting until you were hungry enough. Liver and onions. Liver was cheap because it was organ meat. Calf's liver, pig's liver, ox liver. It depended on what the butcher had. It was sliced thin, fried with sliced onions and served with gravy made from the pan. The liver turned grey as it cooked, and if you were not used to it, the smell made you gag. But once you started eating it, you could not stop. A pound of liver cost fourpence in 1965. Onions were a penny a pound. Gravy granules were twopence. The whole meal cost sixpence and fed two. But here is what liver was doing. It is the most nutrient-dense food available. Vitamins A, B2, B3, B6, B12, folate, iron, copper, choline. One small portion of liver gave you more nutrition than a week of other foods. Your ancestors did not know this in the scientific sense. They knew it in the body sense. After eating liver, you felt different. Your energy changed. Your mind was clearer. In 1960, a pound of calf's liver cost fivepence. It was the cheapest meat in the butcher's window. Liver now is what you read about in health articles. Then, it was what the poor ate, and they were never sick. Number 12 on this list was what happened when your mother found tinned fish in the cupboard. Sardine toast. A tin of sardines in oil, drained, spread on hot buttered toast. If you had a lemon, you squeezed it on. That was all. Sardines came in small, flat tins, the fish packed in together so tightly that when you opened the tin, they came out as a solid block. A tin cost threepence. The oil was liquid gold. You used that on the toast too. Butter was fourpence a quarter, and you used it sparingly, one knob per slice. The whole meal cost fivepence and took 3 minutes. But here is what those sardines were doing. They are a small, oily fish, and oily fish is rich in omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s reduce inflammation, support heart health and protect your brain. One tin of sardines gave you a week's worth of omega-3s. Your mother did not know the science. She knew that sardine toast made her feel better, more awake, less achy. She ate it. In 1962, a tin of sardines cost twopence. One tin was one meal. Sardine tins now sit in the cupboard for months. Then, they were something you actually wanted to eat. Number 11 on this list came from the stone jar under the sink. Bread, soaked in meat gravy. You took yesterday's bread, hard, stale, impossible to bite, and soaked it in the gravy from last night's meat. The bread absorbed the liquid, softened, and became something edible again. You ate it with a spoon. Stale bread was never thrown away. It was too valuable. If you did not want to soak it, you fed it to the chickens, or you made it into breadcrumbs for cooking. But if there was meat gravy left, soaking bread in it was a quick supper. The bread cost nothing. The gravy was paid for yesterday. But here is what was happening. Gravy is rendered meat fat and meat juices. When bread soaks in it, the gluten proteins in the bread unfold in the moisture, becoming more digestible. The meat minerals, iron, zinc, transfer into the bread. You were breaking down the bread so your body could use it more efficiently. It was not poverty cooking, it was precision cooking, though no one called it that. In 1950, stale bread had no value and was either fed to animals or burned. Meat gravy was free. Bread, soaked in gravy, tasted like everything that had gone before. You never felt alone when you ate it. Number 10 on this list cost twopence and was called a proper dinner. We are halfway through these dinners now, and you will have noticed that none of them are from recipes. They are not in any book. Your mother did not look them up. She made them the way her mother made them and her mother before her. They are dishes born from constraint and perfected by repetition. Every dish on this list answers a single question. What can I make from what I have right now for almost no money? The answer changes based on the season, the week's money, what the butcher saved, what grew in the garden. But the principle never changes. Use everything, waste nothing, feed your family. This is not sentimentality. This is what kept people alive, and it kept them healthy. If you grew up eating these dinners, your body remembers them still. You cannot make these meals anymore without something shifting inside. Some hunger you did not know you had gets answered. Peas pudding and bacon. Dried split peas, soaked overnight, boiled until they fell apart, then mixed with onion, pepper and a little salt, served with fried bacon if you had it. If not, just peas pudding on bread. Split peas were cheap, a pound cost twopence, and a pound made peas pudding for 5 nights. Bacon, when money allowed, added fat and salt. The dish was grey-green, thick and stuck to the roof of your mouth. Children hated it. Adults knew it kept them going. But here is what peas pudding does. Dried split peas are pure legume protein, and when cooked down to a paste, they become more digestible. The onion and pepper add compounds that help your body absorb the iron in the peas. Peas are high in fibre, which slows digestion and keeps you full. You could eat a small bowl and not be hungry for hours. This is why peas pudding was a dinner for working men. It was fuel. One bowl before a shift, and your belly did not need anything else. In 1960, a pound of split peas cost twopence. 1 week's peas pudding cost 4pence. The colour has not changed in 50 years. It tastes the same way it always did, like necessity had flavour. Number 9 on this list was a Sunday dinner made on a Thursday with almost no meat. Toad in the hole vegetarian. Sausages replaced with sliced vegetables, carrots, parsnips, celery, in the same batter, baked until risen and brown, just as filling, just as cheap. When meat was dear or money was gone, you made toad with vegetables. The batter was the same, flour, eggs, milk. The pan was the same, the oven was the same. What changed was everything else. The meal cost 3pence instead of a shilling. Your family noticed, but the batter rose just as high, the outside crisp just the same. Your mother did not apologise. It was what you were eating this week. But here is what that vegetable-filled batter was doing. Root vegetables like carrot and parsnip are high in complex carbohydrates and fibre. When baked in hot fat, their cell walls break down, and carotenoids, the pigments that make them orange, become more bioavailable. You absorb more nutrition from a baked carrot than a raw one. The batter added protein and fat. You were eating a complete meal on very little money. No one called it complete. You just ate it and moved on. In 1965, vegetables were a shilling a pound. A batter pudding made from them cost 4pence. Nothing announced that the sausages were gone. You just ate what was on the plate. Number 8 on this list cost so little that you could make it twice a week without guilt. Cheese sauce on vegetables. Melted butter, flour, milk, grated cheese. A roux cooked gently, then thinned with milk, with cheese stirred in at the end. Poured over boiled potatoes, carrots, or whatever was in the vegetable box. That was dinner. Cheese sauce was magical to children. The same vegetables you ate plain suddenly tasted of something. Butter was 4pence a quarter. Flour cost 2pence a pound. Cheese was 1 and 6pence a quarter. Milk was a penny a cup. The sauce for 4 servings cost 5pence. Potatoes and carrots were another 2pence. The whole meal cost 8pence and fed 4. But here is what cheese sauce does. The emulsion, the blend of fat and water and protein, creates a consistency that your stomach processes quickly. The cheese adds calcium and fat-soluble vitamins. The vegetables provide fibre and minerals, but the sauce makes it all more digestible. Your body uses more of what is there. And the ritual of cheese sauce, the smell, the colour, the taste, triggered a satiety signal in your brain. You felt cared for. You felt less hungry simply because the meal felt like something. In 1962, a cheese sauce dinner cost 8pence. Cheese sauce now comes in a packet. Then it came from your mother's hands. Number 7 on this list was made from scraps that most houses threw away. Stuffed marrow. A large marrow, halved and seeded. The cavity filled with a mixture of minced meat, breadcrumbs, onion and herbs. Baked in the oven until the marrow was soft and the filling was cooked through. One half was a dinner for one. Marrow was free from the garden. Minced meat cost 2pence for a quarter pound. Breadcrumbs cost nothing if you dried your own bread. Onion and herbs were free or cheap. The whole meal cost 4pence and was warm and filling and looked like you had made an effort. But here is what stuffed marrow does. The marrow itself is mostly water and fibre. The minced meat adds protein and fat. The breadcrumbs add carbohydrate. Together, they create a meal that is complete but not heavy. The cavity of the marrow naturally holds the filling, so the heat distributes evenly and nothing is wasted. It is efficient cooking. Your ancestors were engineers and they did not know it. In 1960, a garden marrow cost nothing. Minced meat was 2pence a quarter pound. Marrow now is something you grow by accident and leave for the birds. Then, It was what you planned for. Number 6 on this list was invented during the war and never disappeared. Mock duck, bread and dripping layered. Slices of bread layered with cold dripping, then baked in the oven until the dripping melted and soaked into the bread and the edges turned golden and crisp. It was called mock duck, and no one could explain why. Bread cost 4p a loaf. Dripping was free from Sunday's roast. The dish cost 2p and took 10 minutes. One loaf made 3 meals. Children loved it. Mothers loved it because it used things that were already in the house. But here is what that baked bread and dripping was doing. When fat and bread are heated together in the oven, a chemical reaction called the Maillard reaction occurs on the surface. This creates new compounds, flavor compounds that are not present in either ingredient alone. You were tasting something that did not exist until heat combined them. Your brain recognized something complex and primal. It felt like real food. In 1955, a loaf of bread cost 3p. Dripping was free. Mock duck cost 3p per meal for one. Nobody knew why it was called that. It tasted like something a name could never explain. Number 5 on this list was what you made when a neighbor gave you something you did not know what to do with. We are nearly at the end of this list, and by now you have understood something. These dinners are not about deprivation. They're about clarity. Your mother knew exactly what every meal cost. She knew exactly how many people she was feeding and for how many nights. There were no surprises, no hidden charges, no confusion about what was good value. She made decisions every single day about how to feed her family well on the smallest possible amount of money, and she never failed. Not once. Every child at her table got enough. This was not luck, this was skill. And if you are eating alone now, you might find that you remember some of that skill. You might find yourself making these meals again, not because you cannot afford anything else, but because they taste like competence. They taste like someone who knew what she was doing. Carrot marmalade on toast. Grated carrot, cooked with sugar and a squeeze of lemon if you had it, until it became a soft orange spread. It was called marmalade, but it was not marmalade. It was a way of using carrots when you were tired of eating them as a vegetable. Carrots cost 2p a pound. Sugar was 4p a pound. The whole batch, enough to fill a small jar, cost 4p and made the toast of 20 meals. Each piece of toast cost a farthing, and it tasted like something almost sweet. But here is what carrot marmalade was doing. Carrots are high in carotenoids, compounds that give them color. When cooked with sugar, the cell walls of the carrot break down, and the carotenoids become more bioavailable. Your body can use more of them. Sugar acts as a preservative and a carrier. You were making a preserved vegetable that could last months. On a Monday in February, when no fresh vegetables were anywhere, you spread carrot marmalade on toast and your body got what it needed. In 1960, a pound of carrots cost 2p. A jar of carrot marmalade cost 4p. It did not taste like anything you had eaten before. It tasted like someone had invented a new color. Number 4 on this list was what every family made in a single afternoon and ate for a week. Barley broth, pearl barley, onion, carrot, celery, water, salt, simmered for an hour until thick, made in enormous quantities, a 3-pound pot that would sit on the back of the stove for 5 days, and you would eat 1 bowl each evening. Barley cost 2p a pound, and a pound made 3 pots of broth. Vegetables were seasonal and cheap. The whole week cost 4p. It was what you made on Monday when you did not have energy to think. You made it once and it fed you until Friday. But here is what barley broth does. Barley contains a compound called beta-glucan, a type of soluble fiber that your digestive system breaks down slowly. Slow digestion means stable blood sugar, which means stable mood, stable energy. A week of barley broth meant a week of not being tired. It meant thinking more clearly. You did not know the mechanism. You just knew that weeks when you had barley were better weeks. In 1962, pearl barley cost 2p a pound. 1 week's broth cost 4p. You made it on Monday and did not think about food again until Saturday. It was the meal that gave you back your time. Number 3 on this list was made from something your mother's mother made, and you never questioned it. Bread pudding. Old bread, dried in the oven, soaked in milk, mixed with dried fruit, if you had it, a little sugar and eggs, then baked. It was sweet but not a dessert. It was a dinner, warm, filling, and it used what would have been thrown away. Bread pudding was a dish for Thursday or Friday, when the loaf was at the end and stale. Stale bread cost nothing. It was what you were about to throw out. Milk was a penny a cup. Dried fruit and sugar were luxuries, so you used less. The whole pudding cost threepence and fed 4. But here is what bread pudding does. When stale bread is soaked in milk, the gluten proteins relax. The texture becomes almost creamy. When eggs and milk and sugar are added and the whole thing is baked, a custard forms around the bread fragments. This custard is easily digestible. Your body does not have to work to break it down. For someone who had been working all day, digesting something effortlessly was a gift. In 1958, stale bread was free. Milk was a penny a cup. A bread pudding dinner cost tuppence. It was the meal that turned nothing into something. Number 2 on this list is so simple that you will have forgotten you ever made it. Dripping toast. Take cold dripping from the bowl in the larder. Spread it on hot buttered toast. Salt on top. That is it. That is the meal. That is number 1. Dripping was free. Fat rendered from every roast that came through your kitchen. It kept for months. Toast was free if you had bread. Butter was 4p a quarter pound and 1 knob per slice cost a farthing. Salt was free. The meal cost less than a farthing, the smallest denomination of money that existed. But here is what dripping toast was doing. The fat in the dripping is rendered down so finely that your stomach processes it almost immediately. There is no bloating, no discomfort. The salt triggers the release of saliva and stomach acid, which means digestion begins before you have swallowed. The bread provides carbohydrate and fiber. Together, they are a meal that is both immediately satisfying and sustaining. You eat a piece of dripping toast, and for the next hour, you are hungry for nothing. In 1955, dripping toast cost a farthing. A child could buy one with the smallest pocket money. It is still the best thing you can make from almost nothing. She never called it a meal. She called it getting by. And that is the list. These 25 dinners fed a nation. They were not poor food. They were food that worked. Food that cost almost nothing and gave almost everything. If you made any of these tonight, your body would remember, your hands would remember the motions, you would taste something that has not changed in 70 years. These dinners are still waiting in your kitchen, in the memory of your hands and the taste on your tongue. You do not need permission to make them again. You do not need a recipe or an explanation. You just need to remember that you already know how. Subscribe and we will remind you of the rest.